Hi there, Bryan here. Good morning or good afternoon or good evening depending on when you're watching this. Today I want to talk about mindsets and the truth of finance. Now, when we have folks come into our office, we typically are seeing one of two mindsets. And I want to kind of draw this out for you. So if this is kind of the zeroed outline of money, there's two different types of mindsets here. The first is that of the saver. Now the saver does things very specifically. What they do is they're going to save and they're going to wait. They're going to save and wait and save and wait, and eventually they're going to buy something. Now, of course, they've made progress for themselves by accumulating additional assets. But the problem here over time is that after that first purchase has been made, their cash flow, their cash is back to zero. So next time they want to make a purchase, they're going to start at zero again and have the same process. Again, they're going to accumulate an additional asset, but now again, they're starting from scratch. So down the road, they're doing the same thing for that next purchase. So they're not really, making major progress with their capital. They're just simply acquiring additional assets. So it's a good thing there overall, but at the same time, we're not really making our money work harder for us, okay? Now, let's talk about the opposite. And the opposite mindset is that of the debtor. So the debtor, again, does things in a specific way. The debtor is a buyer. And the debtor says, I like it, I want it, I'm gonna have it. And so they accept the fact that they're going to be paying that off over a long period of time. So what a debtor does is, from the zeroed outline, they're going to immediately go negative because they're borrowing. And over time, they're going to pay, and eventually get that paid off. Again, you see the problem here. They're starting back at zero for their next expense. So the next expenditure here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to borrow, we're going to pay over time, and eventually get that paid off. Of course, many times we are paying additional interest on our purchase, so not only are we just getting back to zero, but it actually cost us more than whatever that expense actually was. So, let's say it's a car and it's a $20,000 car. Well, we're probably going to pay $23,000 to $25,000, somewhere in that range, when it's all said and done. So we're actually paying more than things are worth. And again, we're just ending back at zero. So then again, that next purchase, we're just starting the same cycle again. We're buying, we're accumulating, but we're not accumulating our cash. We're simply accumulating additional assets. So how can we really start to create wealth for ourselves, our family, and our future? I think a great place to really look for ideas here would be major banks, major corporations, Fortune 500 companies. What they do is different. So again, we have this zeroed outline. And what these organizations do is they buy, but they pay and they earn at the same time. So it's going to look a little bit more like this. And so instead of just ending back at the zero line, they're ending up here with their capital. So now when they make the next purchase, they're starting a little bit higher up. Not the best drawer here, but you're starting to get the idea. So every time an organization utilizes their cash flow to not only accumulate assets, but to also accumulate additional cash, they are able to continue moving ahead by not having to just simply start from scratch every time they're making an additional purchase. So what's happening is instead of staying near this zeroed out line, they are continuing to accumulate capital. And so all along the way, it's making things easier and easier until finally they get to retire, not only with the additional assets that they've been able to accumulate, but also with additional cash flow that they can use as emergency funds. They can use that to supplement their retirement income. But the fact is, this is what we call the truth of finance, okay? And the truth of finance is that constant compounding equals wealth. Let me say that one more time. Constant compounding equals wealth. And we can turn to somebody that you've all probably heard of, a pretty smart guy that his name is Albert Einstein. And many years ago, he said that compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. So again, the key here is constant compounding. So through time, as you are making purchases, really think about what your money is doing for you. If you want to learn more about how to earn more constant, more consistent compounding of your money, reach out to us. Let's sit down. Let's discuss the numbers. Let us show you the way that you can really start capturing additional compounding interest for yourself, be able to accumulate additional assets, and also be able to continue growing your available cash. And this, if you are somebody that is in debt, it can be a very efficient way to not only get you out of debt, but also keep you out of debt. And if you're somebody that doesn't have debt, this is a way to really stay on top of your money, to really earn additional interest, and really be in control of your finances. Imagine the ability to not only take care of these expenses, these maybe wants and needs in life, but also to every time you're making a purchase and paying that money back to yourself, when you get to the next point, you're at a higher value. So every time we made a purchase here, our cash continued to accumulate. And that is the key to creating wealth for yourself, your family, and your future. Thank you.